a Noble Media Group member.
The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
6,000 years ago, man invented the wheel. 5,000 years later, he invented the printing press. 460 years later, he would fly. 70 years later, he would step on the moon. And 8 years later, he would send a spacecraft beyond our solar system. Today, we have computers which can think for themselves and robots that can dance. Properly utilized, today's technologies can bring an end to poverty, hunger, and even the need to work, or to make bombs that will end all life on Earth. Will we destroy ourselves or come together?
It is now 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
Join Joe Carvin as he explores these questions, because mankind is on the hinge of history.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hinge of History. Joe Carvin, my friend. I'm here. I'm back. I think we did a show Thursday, but no, it was Wednesday. And but that was about the only ones I did. I got laryngitis, and it came down to a question of how do you do a talk show if you can't talk?
A little tough, a little different.
So, yeah, well, welcome back. We've got some fun stuff to talk about today, and I'll bounce it over to you in a second. But just want to let everybody know that the world of AI is changing quickly. And I guess I'll just go ahead and throw this out before we go. But I read today, Joe, in the news that Ukraine used the first robot to attack in a real live attack situation, and then last night or this morning, depending upon I guess which time zone you live in, the United States used unmanned aerial or unmanned boats to hit some targets in Iran, and just we've talked about that, Joe. This Some of this stuff and the technology is it's just increasing so quickly, and and this isn't just about battlefields, but it's about everything in life, and it's hard to keep up with. So tell me, Joe, I think you've got a little article that you want to share and talk about.
But I do want to comment, and we'll do a full show on it. And it's terrifying to think of what would happen if we deploy robots in the military. There's a number of people looking at that in detail. Maybe we'll try and get them, interview them, and have them talk about it. But no, I think it's absolutely terrifying. One of our theses is the great Fermi paradox. In fact, Elon Musk has a great quote on that. We'll share in coming sessions. The whole reason he did SpaceX is for human survival.
Right.
And he thinks that we need to go to space to ensure human civilization survives. And ultimately, the Fermi paradox is the idea that ultimately, after 13.8 billion years, we should see numerous civilizations. And Elon's fears that you'll see a whole bunch, when we get out to space, you'll see a whole bunch of one planet civilizations that use the technology to destroy themselves rather than to advance. And certainly one of my big fears is robots in the battlefield, because then in fact, even when I think about household robots, what do I do if my neighbor gives me a hard time?
Go tear his fence
hey,
down.
hey, Johnny, I didn't like that fence. So I think we really need to. But what I do want to talk about today is the Goldman Sachs report that came out in May, talking about 7.6 trillion dollars of cumulative AI investment from 2026 to 2031. They basically say annual spending will go from 765 billion this year to roughly 1.6 trillion by 2031. And what I'm going to do, I use my AI. For me, AI, actually, I'm going to ask you to define your view of AI. My view of AI is it's the whole of human information at your fingertips, the whole wisdom of human information.
Mhm.
So I asked them, what do they think about this report? Basically, what ChatGPT said, I think the global Goldman Sachs projection is one of the most important economic forecasts published in years because it implies that AI is no longer simply a software revolution. It's becoming one of the largest infrastructure build-outs in modern history. This is completely consistent with our last show. We talked about the five-layer cake,
That's right.
and we increasingly view these as AI factories. But what do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I when I first started the show with you, I would have definitely said it's just a software, that you plug into Google and then it tells you something. But no, I've come a long ways since that. And, AI and its ability to, I mean, just the power. When we talked about those five layers of the cake, the biggest layer of that cake was just the energy infrastructure to build these out. The next one up, I think, was the chips, right? The production
Uh,
of the chips, which they can't even make enough of these right now. And I want to add one more thing, if I can, Joe, just for our watchers, so that you get an appreciation of how much money that they're talking about putting towards AI. The entire U.S. GDP for last year was $31 trillion. If you take the inflation and cross that with inflation, is what 24 trillion or something dollars. So that's just a massive amount of money. That is crazy amounts of money. Now, I get it's over 5 years, but that's still a crazy amount of money.
so again, in the words of Demis Hassabis, we're creating an industrial revolution 10 times more powerful than the Industrial Revolution. A technology is 10 times more powerful than it and 10 times faster. So ultimately, there's another woman talks about 10,000 years of change between now and 2050. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is the fundamental change that we can see looking out over the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years. And this $7.6 trillion investment is really laying the framework. So this is going to happen, laying the framework for ultimately structural, civilizational superabundance. But let me start with the $7.6 trillion. Part of the reason they're doing this is for agentic AI. Remember, we have four
Mhm.
types of AI: perception, generative agentic AI, and then physical robotic AI. What Goldman Sachs tells us in this report that agentic AI uses 24 times more compute capacity, 24 times more than generative AI because it's doing working around the clock
Right,
for you.
right,
We've heard the McKinsey example, right? 1,000 times, 60,000 employees, of which there are 25,000 are agents, right?
right.
So ultimately, now the big question for me, and this is the fun part. Okay, so we know effectively this investment or some level of investment of this magnitude is going to happen between now and 2031. We know every one of the big boy AI companies is all in. They're
Yep,
all in.
yep.
So my question, Brian, let's talk you and I a little bit about, again, went back to ChatGPT. So what's the world going to look like if this happens? Because we're not ready for it. So my first thing, ChatGPT tells me first, intelligence becomes abundant. Today, intelligence is scarce. Tomorrow, it becomes nearly free.
Hmm.
Every person could have a tutor, doctor assistant, lawyer assistant, engineer, translator, researcher, programmer, financial analyst available 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
What do you think? We almost have that today, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to just add on to that for a second too, Joe, because in today's world, right, each of those professions that you threw out there is a different person. In tomorrow's AI world, that's all the same thing. It's all one centralized place. It's just going to be amazing to live through this. But wow, I mean, humanity's never had anything like this ever, ever.
Oh,
It's never.
and I mean, I don't know about you. Uh, Anytime I do legal work now, I do it myself first.
Yeah, go to Google. Right, right. Yep,
Go
yep.
to Google, and I feel like
And I
more.
just
In, I'm
saved
not doing
six
my
hundred
phone.
dollars. And I saved $600 an hour for you just now.
So, and then look, I think the other big change is going to be in healthcare and education. We'll talk a bit more about. But I think healthcare costs are going to come ratcheting down. All right. The second thing they say is every company becomes an AI company. Just as every company eventually became an internet company, every company will become an AI company. Manufacturing, medicine, agriculture, law, finance,
Hmm.
every sector will become an AI company. What are your thoughts?
Um, yeah. I mean, let's go back and there are some historical equivalents for that. How about the internet? You know,
Right?
in the 80s, I mean, what percentage of companies or people, individuals were using the internet? Now compare that to just 10 years ago, everybody does. I mean,
Right.
it's to the point now, and again, using this as an example, I mean, when's the last time you got a fax, right? The only time you ever need to have a fax is when you're working with the United States government because they're still back in the 80s.
Right.
So it's just that AI is a perfect example. Every company's going to have it. Every person's going to be having it and using it. So it's amazing. Yeah.
And I, so me, so what, you'd love to get your feedback on this. The way I look at the world, and they say every sector as well. So I guess 2 points. One, obviously you have the guys in the know, like the futurists. I think corporate America is racing enthusiastically trying to adopt AI. So let's give them a 90 to 95% understanding. Schools need to figure out how they're going to use AI because obviously it's an important knowledge based way to just think about the world. I think schools are at 80, 85%. And I think municipalities and governments are 70, 75% knowledgeable, right? So, there's a hierarchy.
Hmm.
And what's clear to me is one's capacity to use AI, not regardless of the sector, will determine your future success as a company or as a government. In fact, some governments around the world, well, I'll do some more research on this for a future podcast, are really using AI all in. They don't make a decision without their AI anymore.
Yeah.
I tell you, my hope, I think my biggest hope right now is that we might be better off if AI takes over once and for all.
I'll tell you a
I mean,
funny story. I'll tell you a funny story that I read about it over the weekend, and it was a class, and the professor gave them a test. They took it home, they brought it back, and every single one of them got 100 on it. So then the professor said, "Okay, everybody, put your computers down, everything down, pick up a piece of paper." Gave them the same test where they couldn't touch their computers. And it's like a 70% failure rate or something. I'm making up the numbers a little bit, but I'm going, they all used AI, every single one of them, and they all got 100s. So,
Oh, I gotta get our website going. Those are great stories. I gotta get on our website. All right. So Chat GBT, again, this is after $7.6 trillion of investment, right? Robots become practical. The same AI running inside data centers will increasingly power humanoid robots. These robots will build houses, harvest crops, clean hospitals, repair roads, stock warehouses, care for elderly populations. This extends AI from the digital world into the physical economy, and hopefully we'll keep them out of war and we'll keep them
yeah,
off.
yeah,
But
for sure.
do you see omnipresent robots in 5 to 6 years' time?
Maybe. I don't know if it'd be. I mean, I think what we have to do is kind of define that, right? I mean, because technically, the little robot that vacuums your carpets, I mean, it operates independently of people. But I think the robotics technology is maybe the thing that lags behind the most. The actual creation of the robots. I think that the AI technology would already be there. That's my guess. I mean,
Right.
remember
And
we
I
talked
and I
about
and
that
that's
curve,
what yeah, that's exactly what Elon and a lot of them are trying to do. All right. The next one from AI is that, and this is pretty obvious, scientific discovery accelerates. AI systems will increasingly assist scientists by designing drugs, discovering new materials, that's all important, improving batteries, advancing fusion, accelerating climate technology. the pace of innovation itself may increase. What do you think, Brian? Do you think the pace of innovation is going to accelerate?
I do. And so we talked about this as example in one of our previous shows, about how that would work in healthcare. Well, how do you replace a doctor? Well, it depends what the doctor does. Because
Right.
if they're in radiology, you can replace them because the computer and AI will see the same thing they do, but it doesn't make mistakes, right? It doesn't miss something.
Although I need to point out, Jeffrey Hinton, one of the big commentators, predicted 5 years ago that radiologists would be eliminated, and in fact, there's more radiologists today. So I want to share that hint of, but certainly we can understand that those jobs will be challenged. But in terms of scientific discovery, we do a lot of work with climate change. Bill Gates, we use Bill Gates' book, "How to Avoid a Climate Disaster,"
Hmm.
and he ultimately concluded that at the end of the day, technology is going to have come up with solutions in order to really solve the problem. And I think that those kinds of solutions will accelerate, and we will find like
Hmm.
fusion technology,
Right.
those kind of things. So I think, and then I guess, well, I'll begin to explain now. The Goldman Sachs focuses on the increase in AI compute. Doesn't make any mention of quantum computing. But one area, narrow area where quantum computing is going to have a huge impact is on scientific discovery and on new materials. So we're getting this synergy between quantum computing and AI computing. So these things are ChatGPT is predicting without quantum, but I guess the way I'd say is quantum computing is a force multiplier. It's not the same. It's much more narrow based. However, it can be a force multiplier. All right.
Hmm.
Productivity rises dramatically. Steam multiplied muscle, electricity multiplied factories, computers multiplied calculations, the internet multiplied communication, as multiple AI multiples intelligence. That could ultimately become the largest productivity game in economic history. Brian,
Yes.
best guess, how much more efficient are you with AI?
Oh, it'll be infinitely more, infinitely more, because you can do in seconds what have taken, a very long time to do, right?
I, you
As
know,
those students found out when they went home and did their test and all got 100 for typing it in using AI, right?
at least you and I. So anything we put out, right? I take full responsibility for. I'm explaining that I get this, but I concur with all these. These are my views provided by ChatGPT, and I do all the analysis of all the AIs. I'm
Mhm.
just distilling my found. We'll put all this on our website. Now, here's one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites, and this is going to be really sticky. Education changes completely. This is the work you're doing with One World becomes especially relevant. Every student can have personalized curriculum, personalized tutor, personalized coach, personalized mentor. Education shifts from one teacher teaching 30 students toward one teacher orchestrating 30 AI supported learning journeys.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. What do you think of that? Is that exciting?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's again, I think the ability to learn and to have experts teaching you is going to go up exponentially. So
Do you have children?
I have two boys,
And how old are they?
22 and 26.
Okay, they missed a little bit then. They're going to be, they're what are, I don't know what generation they are, but bottom line is, imagine if your kids were 4 and 5,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, right? I mean, so the kids, Vinod Khosla, the VC gentleman from California, says 5-year-olds will never have to look for a job, and what they're going to have, what they will be able to do is AI tutors and education.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. Now this is another big one. New geopolitical competition. Countries will increasingly compete on electricity generation. I'm going to pause there. Who has the big lead there? Do you remember?
China.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where our bifurcated national system between local government, state government, regional government, federal government is a huge handicap in terms of generating a coherent electricity sector. Semiconductor manufacturing, AI talent, data center construction, advanced networking, robotics. Access to AI infrastructure may become as strategically as important as oil was to the 20th century.
Mm,
What do you think?
yeah, yeah, it has to be. It has to be. We go back to that cake. What was the number one in the cake? It was energy, energy infrastructure, right?
Yes.
And just FYI too, and it's this is not really that far off topic, but since you do climate change, you know that the United States was already having a problem with energy infrastructure, especially our ability to transfer power from some of the more remote sites, like be from wind farms or solar, into a major power grid. So we were already behind, behind the ball before all of this. So yeah.
Right. No, no, exactly. I feel for Great Britain because the Boris Johnson government increased electricity costs, so they're 30, 40% higher than the rest of the world.
Hmm.
You can't, you can't compete. All right. So those are the changes that $7.6 trillion in investment will generate. Now let's have a little more fun. When we add quantum computing, a force multiplier, can we agree that those changes are more likely or less likely?
Oh, much more.
Because they're going to have the narrow scientific discoveries that break the logjam and bring energy costs down to zero, intelligent costs down to zero.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And there's
So
one other big, go ahead, please.
no, I was just going to say, and are the models really looking at when they project out, where AI is going to go and the cost and so forth? Have they even factored in quantum computing? I mean,
No,
we could
never.
make an argument that they haven't really.
No, they have not. No, they have not. No, I can tell you,
Yeah.
no. Goldman Sachs doesn't take that into account. See that? Okay, so this is the genius of today's
The
podcast.
glasses are coming off. I'm ready.
You
Okay.
know, I'm sorry. This is the genius of today's podcast. The genius of today's podcast and the genius of the AI search we did, the prompt engineering, is we're bringing three factors together that are rarely combined. So one is AI compute increase, supported by quantum computing increase. And now, wait a second, we're talking 2026 and 2031. AGI and ASI, we haven't talked about them yet.
Hmm.
So we got AGI and ASI. Most, even Demis Hassabis is saying AGI between 2029 and 2031. The most conservative guy, AGI, remembers artificial general intelligence,
Yep.
and that's when AI becomes autonomous,
Yep. Yep.
rocking on its own, baby. Now, and then I asked how long between AGI and ASI? Maximum 2 years.
Incredible.
Now, a 1,000-fold increase in AI compute, quantum computing, solving narrow problems, and AGI and ASI. That's why these guys are investing all this money. People are worried about the costs are coming down.
Hmm.
The cost of everything's going to come down. This world of abundance. Now, I'm just going to read to you, if I could, ultimately the conclusion then by ChatGPT when we add all together. All right. And it says the 7.6 trillion Wall Street capital wave is effectively the launch pad. It pays for the physical factories, the power grids,
Mm.
and the silicon arrays required to crack the code of intelligence. Once that code is cracked from 27 to 30, the technology takes over its own funding and design loop. When quantum computing intersects this loop in the early 2030s, it breaks the physical shackles of energy and data boundaries, transforming a hyper expensive financial gamble into a permanent transition toward structural, civilizational abundance by 2035. The singularity, 2035. Forget 2045, Ray. The singularity, structural, civilizational abundance. Are we ready for that, Brian?
No, no, I don't think we are at all. But you and I keep talking about that. So it's, we're talking about what is a 26. So, you're getting really close that a current senator that's elected in this election is probably going to be
Right.
making major decisions about how this country uses AI in our future for this election, right?
Yes.
We're there.
Yes.
We are there.
Yes. We're 100%. In fact, so 1,000%. So again, it's amazing to me how little these conversations are had. And our mantra, our goal for this show is to talk about the societal impact. So it seems clear to me these three phenomena, as we talk about these things, as we continue to research, three very visible phenomena. AI compute's going to increase. Quantum computing, the error rate's coming way down, accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
And AGI, ASI, the best guess is latest 2030. When those three things hit, the pace of change between 2030 and 2035 is not, no, sorry, hyper exponential, not just exponential. We can't
Yeah,
even use exponential anymore. It's double exponential or hyper exponential. Wow. And
basically
again,
straightly
I
vertical.
understand, Brian, if I could, I've been talking about this. I've been studying this for years. I still can't get it into my head. Today was another aha moment for me because when you put these three phenomena together that are relatively clear, it encourages me and emboldens me to say, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to get out there and make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'll add to it. We need to get our politicians and our politics deeply involved in it because you can't wait until 2030 to start deciding to do something about this.
As you
Uh,
said, 1,000% correct. Whoever's elected today, would you argue this should be one of the top two or three
it has to
issues
be.
of the campaign?
I mean, it has. It really should be. Everybody wants to talk about cost of living and kitchen table issues. This is cost of living and kitchen table issues coming. I mean, it's not just the kitchen table issues; it's the whole kitchen table, right?
In fact,
So,
and by the way, we should maybe begin to talk about this as well. I just saw the headline in the journal today how the people are gearing up to attack AI. There's the opposition. There's people. You
mm,
saw that the Arizona students booed Eric Schmidt
oh yeah,
at the graduation ceremony. There's a real movement coming out against data centers, and we'll talk about this more next time. But I guess, Brian, in closing, love to hear from you, and I'll put forward some ideas about the best ways for us to prepare for this transition. Let's assume we had the world's ear. What would we tell them?
I would probably go back and and steal some words from previous U.S. Senator Ben Sass, and to help people to realize that the days of them having a job and keeping that same job or that same career type. I'm not talking about switching companies. I'm talking
Right.
about your computer science and doing encoding or whatever. Those days are going to come to an end, and people will be changing multiple times. So we've got to get a political answer out because it's going to require that for our educational system to prepare my kids, your grandkids, and so forth for what's coming. I mean, and we're not there. We're not even having those conversations. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, as a Republican, this may sound a little funky. I lived in Great Britain under national health care. Britain spends 11% of GDP on healthcare. We spend 20%. What I like about Britain's healthcare is everybody has it, but you can go private insurance as well. If I could wave a magic wand, and I know it's difficult and political, I would provide healthcare to everybody. We'll need to potentially consider at least universal basic income. But based on the numbers I've already run, we already have universal basic income. The equivalent, the monies we would need
right.
are already spent. We're just not spending them intelligently between food stamps and welfare, Medicaid, Medicare. So I would have national health care and an entrepreneurship economy, right? So in other words, if you don't have to worry about health care, well, the number one reason you need a job is healthcare costs.
Yeah.
It stays. So if you take away the need for healthcare costs, then I would build an entrepreneurial economy, maybe give each person a little bit of universal basic income, and then just have at it. Go for it. And you want to
Mm-hmm.
be a trillionaire? Go for it. No problemo.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're adding value to society. So anyway, those are sort of some thoughts about moving in the right direction. And again, I guess the other thing is K-12 educators, in my view, K-16 educators,
Yeah.
but particularly K-12 educators. We spend a lot of time at One World Future Ready, the education enrichment program I created. We need to prepare K-12 educators. Kids entering school today, as I said, Vinod Khosla, they're never going to have to look for a job. So learn how to follow your passion. And then the big challenge, let's assume for argument's sake, we create this world of abundance, no need to work, no poverty, no hunger, no disease. What are you going to do?
Go
And
fishing.
that's the next big challenge, your life purpose.
Yeah.
Why not begin to help these 5-year-olds follow their passion and build a life purpose beyond? Because that's more likely than not, it's the world they're headed to.
Yeah.
So how do we begin that 5-year-old begin to incorporate into them a mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset, an innovative mindset? And what we're really trying to do, and this is I want to create a 21st century Renaissance mindset. And we have the World Cup right now. Each country supporting its nation, but the world's come together relatively sane fashion. We need new forms of global cooperation. We need a new story. It's that 21st century mindset where every human being recognizes that we all share an essential human connection on the spaceship Earth.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm with you. I have my doubts that that's going to happen. But
Me too. Me too. Big
well,
time.
I know we're out of time here, but it's been a great discussion. Everyone, we will see you again Thursday.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday. I beg your pardon. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like it. If you've got a question, leave Joe a question. Leave me a question. We'll read it out on air. We'll talk about it. This is stuff that's going to affect you. It's going to affect your kids. It's going to affect your grandkids. There is no avoiding it. It is coming for sure. All we can do now is prepare for it, and that's what we're trying to do in the show. And Joe's done an exceptional job of it. So hope you're having fun with this, everybody that's watching it, and it's educational as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will see you again Wednesday, and we'll continue the conversation. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, my friends. Good to see you
Thanks very
again.
much.
Okay.
Yep, good to see you.
You've been watching Joe Carvin's Hinge of History. The No Bull Media Group is available on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us a follow where you can watch this show and many others.
A No Bull Media Group member.